Well, guess what? It is still coming. Beyond the Cap with me, Jeff Woytovich, it is still coming. It's just taking a little bit longer than I wanted it to because I want to do it right. We have about 8 people that are going to be taking part in this. Individuals that I will get to interview and talk to them. And remember what this is and what it's not. It's not a podcast to talk about all of the trials and tribulations of everything that happened to you, every kid that made fun of you or picked on you or ignored you. This has nothing to do with any negative things from the past, unless there was a positive thing from the past. What this podcast is about, and I want the families and I want the kids with alopecia and the adults with alopecia to see that you can do pretty much whatever you want. Sometimes it's a little bit harder, but the bottom line is that if you want to do something, you're able to do it. The only person that makes that decision is you, because no one else has control over what you want to do. So if you look back and say, well, I wasn't able to do this because, well, the kids made fun of me and that made me less confident, so therefore I didn't want to do it. All right, well, that's valid, and I'm sure it's true. But on the flip side of that, you might have been able to accomplish that. So we don't want to tell kids that you can go the route that I went. Maybe I didn't have enough confidence or self-esteem, so I didn't do this because I was afraid of the other kids. Let's keep that in the back. What I want you to tell us the stories that you have when you decided to kick butt. You decided that, hey, guess what? Having less hair than anyone else is not going to make me take a back seat to anyone. I'm going to move forward. I'm going to conquer this. I am just like everyone else. Because the bottom line is you are just like everyone else. Everyone is. I mean, it's one of those things where your parents and your mentors, they've always told you the same thing. The coaches that coached you, they always said if you work hard and you put in the work, then good things are going to happen. And usually when you did the hard work and you put everything on the line for that position or whatever that sport is, you were usually able to accomplish a lot more than you ever thought. Maybe you wouldn't be a superstar or an all-state athlete, but you were able to perform and be a better version of yourself before you had that coach or mentor. Now, I do want to say that there's something brand new that is coming to the Children's Alopecia Project, and that is an advisory board. We have a very small group of board of directors, and they've been with us for a very long time, and they help with the oversight and the advice that we need to run the Children's Alopecia Project. You have myself, and you have Karen, who is the office administrator, and I'm sure many of you have had contact with her. And we have volunteers like my wife and kids and a few other adults around the area. But the one thing that we always needed is we need new thoughts. Listen, there's no doubt I have founder syndrome. So therefore, I think everything is going as well as I think everything is going. So if anyone has anything negative to say to me, then of course I have something to say back to them. It's like, listen, I'm the founder of this thing. I'm the one that's doing this. I'm the one doing the work on that. But the truth is I need help. So an advisory board was the best way that I saw that we could go ahead and get things done in a different way. The advisory board is split up into 2 parts, 2 committees. The one committee is for awareness. Obviously, if you ever heard me speak, awareness is always the most important thing to me. I need people to be aware that we exist. We need people to understand that we have different types of programming. Now, a lot of people have opinions as to how we do things and whether or not we do things that are worth it or not worth it. But here's the reality. we have spent a considerable amount of money on mailing dermatologists, over 14,000 dermatologists, letting them know that we exist, having our medical director write a letter introducing himself and basically saying, listen, we would love to collaborate. We would love for us to be able to get into your practice in the form of rack cards and brochures and just general information. And if you have a family that come in and you're asking the right questions, and that's the one thing dermatologists always need to do, they just can't go to the alopecia. You need to make sure that the child is doing well. How is the child performing in school? How are they doing with friends? Are they being teased? Is their confidence level high or low? Self-esteem, etc. The bottom line is alopecia is not the most urgent disease out there in the world. Doesn't hurt. It's not contagious. No one's ever dying. And I think people lose sight that there's another part of alopecia, and that's the well-being part. So in addition to the awareness, where we're hoping that these members are going to help us come up with ideas and programs that will help get more people to be introduced to CAP by using their expertise in advertising, marketing, social media. The other part is the well-being committee, where we want professionals, coaches. Well, when I say want, we have coaches, professionals that are MDs, master level therapists, PhD, masters therapists. It's just, I am obviously not a clinician. I play one on TV, but I am not someone that would ever say that I have the clinical know-how to help any of you. I have the common sense, experienced know-how to help you find help. And I think we do great things for kids at the camps, but the reality is we needed a bunch of professionals that would be able to help get some type of order when we do find kids with alopecia and their families contact us. So after the awareness committee does their job, we now need to know, how are we going to implement things to help them not become a statistic? And that's the bottom line. We do not want statistics. We want the kids to be who they are. We want them to be successful. We want them never to look back. We want them only to go forward. And we want to help make that possible. So all of the clinicians that are part of the well-being committee will help us put things together. So maybe there's an additional program or two at a CAP Kid Camp. Maybe there's 2 or 3 new things at Alopecia Palooza. We'll have the tools to offer it to the 50 support groups that we have that are out there on Facebook. So that way, when people want to get together, you now have some ideas. And then maybe, hopefully, some of these committee people that are on the advisory board will come to the events. Maybe we'll have them speak at different locations. The thing is, I speak at a lot of schools and a lot of locations. And what's that saying about, many hands in the kitchen make light work, or something like that? Well, instead of having one person doing all the cooking, I want everybody to help with the cooking, because the bottom line, I want as many kids and as many family members as possible to be helped. That's always been the bottom line. That's the whole reason why I started this. Selfishly, I wanted to be helped. I wanted to help my daughter, Maddie, wanted to help my family, and then I wanted to help everyone else. And we've done a great job at that. But listen, I'm an old dog, and regardless of what they say about teaching an old dog new tricks, I am going to learn new tricks. So I want you to stand by, be patient. We're going to have this podcast up and running. Can't tell you exactly when, but in the beginning of June, I will be making the announcement as to when we start. And at the beginning, we're going to do this weekly. Now, if we do not have a guest, then I'm just going to get on here and spitball, and we're going to make it available on all the podcast sites. So that way you can go to, Apple. You can go to any place that you get your podcast. You can also go on YouTube and Rumble. We're going to have a station there for these podcasts. So if you can't listen to it live, you'll be able to check it out, not just on YouTube and Rumble, but also on Facebook, and depending on what I can do with Instagram, TikTok, Twitter. So we're doing a full court press on this. And I want to make sure that everyone that's listening to this, you don't have to put it in your calendar, just put it in the back of your brain that there's going to be an announcement at the beginning of June, which is like tomorrow. But I think in the next 2 or 3 days, I'll be making an announcement when this starts. And it's going to be great. It's going to be positive. We're not talking about failures. Remember, we're not talking about when these adults with alopecia or these older teens, we're not talking about their failures. We're not talking about when they were scared and timid and they lacked confidence and self-esteem. We're talking about where they're at today and what they're doing tomorrow. That's all I care about. And then hopefully when we show this to the rest of this crazy alopecia community, there's going to be more and more adults with alopecia, kids with alopecia, and family members that they'll believe that, you know what, our loved one with alopecia can do the exact same thing. And just like life, everything, it's just not going to be given to you. We all have to work at the things that we want to do. We all need to work at the things that we love. Nobody's ever just going to say, you know what, here you go. I'm going to give this to you because you deserve it. No, you don't deserve it. But you do deserve to be you. And you are so much better you than someone else. And you are definitely better than any copy of anyone else that you might be looking up to. I want you to be who you are. And I want you to share in your successes today. And I want you to tell me about your successes that will happen tomorrow. So stand by for Beyond the Cap with Jeff Woytovich, coming exclusively from the Children's Alopecia Project to you via this wonderful media platform called podcast. So until I make the announcement and I see you, stand by.